So there's an old saying that goes, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. And I really feel that is the case, because a number of times that I've been let down by Marvel games and how the current people in charge actually handle them. I shouldn't be surprised with what they've done today for Marvel's Avengers, a game that recently it's had 2 war streams, it's had some AMAs on Reddit, and the developers have just built up so much goodwill and hype, and they were getting the game looking fantastic, they were interacting with the community, and then today on Twitter we had this. It really is just such an awful decision on so many levels, and it's such a shame to see all the goodwill that the developers have built up over the last few weeks. They look to be really passionate about the game, but once again it looks like you have the money men that are ultimately the ones that pull the strings, that have came in and they've went for what is without a doubt an anti-consumer choice. I've mentioned that it's wrong in so many levels. I'm actually going to list all the different levels it's wrong. I'm not just going to rant here, I'm going to explain why this is such a bad decision. Firstly, we start off with how this contradicts one of the biggest promises developers have actually made. They've told us that all future heroes and add-on expansions, for example, will be free. We'll still pay for skins, but we won't have to pay for heroes. Now, if you're on PlayStation, that's without a doubt correct. If you're on PC or Xbox and you want to play as Spider-Man, then you're going to have to stump up and actually buy another console to do that. That couldn't be further from all heroes will be free. And bear in mind that it looks like the game's got a universal price across all 3 platforms as well, so you're paying the same price for less content. We then have the fact that it's a games as service style game. They've talked about how they want this game to be around for years. Now, a month before it's launched, they've already locked out the flagship character, or one of the flagship characters of Marvel. Now, if this game is going to go on for years, what else will be locked out? If you're going to lock out one of the biggest characters in the Marvel IP, then nothing is off limits, and that is incredibly worrisome. Spider-Man is a very unique character within the Marvel IP, and when it comes to playing Spider-Man games, he's got a very unique skill set as well. He's got his mobility, but he's got a large focus on crowd control as well. Now, at the moment in the game, we will have 7 characters we'll have eventually when Hawkeye does come out. Now, there's no one within that group of characters that can actually replicate what Spidey does, so we will be missing, or players on other platforms will be missing a very specific playstyle. Now, will the rest of the game, or will the PlayStation game now be separate from the other consoles, and the enemies will be tuned towards specific heroes that they will be facing against, or will players on other platforms actually be at a disadvantage because they don't have that tool in their kit, so to speak? One of the upcoming pieces of content for the game the developers have talked about that can certainly garner a lot of excitement in the community is raids. When you have games that are on multiple platforms and a raid comes out, you've got everyone rushing to get a world's first, and it can be really exciting to actually watch this. Now, the inclusion of exclusive characters on any platform completely spoils that and takes it away, because you will have one platform that's potentially going to have an advantage. I'm pretty sure that when Spidey's going to be in the game, he's not going to be one of the lower tier heroes. He is definitely going to be tuned on the higher side. One of the most important aspects of playing an online multiplayer game is the actual community that you play with. Now, with the game being available for pre-order for quite some time, you've imagined got a lot of people that have pre-ordered the game, and maybe even bought specific platforms so they can play with their friends. Now they have the decision, do they still want to play with their friends and potentially miss out on one of the biggest characters in the Marvel IP? And it's a decision that really they shouldn't have to make at all. Platform-specific DLC on cross-platform games is something that's been around for really quite some time now. There are different ways you can do that, but the way that it's been actually done within Marvel's Avengers, I think it's going to be massively damaging to the game, and it's all down to the roster size. So after various years of development, I don't know if it's maybe as many as 3 or 4 years of development, we have 6 characters as far as we're aware that will be launching with the base game. So when you add one additional character into that, that's a huge portion of the characters that are available in the game that are locked out to 2/3 of the player base. An example where this can be done slightly better, as much as I still don't agree with it. With a game like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, for example, it's got around about 30 or 40 heroes in it. It did have platform specific characters, but you've got a much wider roster available for players. It really provides a lot more flexibility for them, and it means that potential playstyles they might be looking for might be filled out by other characters. But doing this when you've only got a base roster of 6 characters, it's just absolutely terrible. So I've already touched on this to an extent, but I'm going to mention it again because I feel it is very important. It's the base price of the game. As far as I can see, it looks like across all 3 platforms it is a universal price that you will actually be paying. If you buy it on the major platforms, that's digital on the Xbox store or the PlayStation store, if you buy it through Steam, which if you are buying on PC, that is the main platform you'll use. But it looks to be it's the same price for all of them, yet you've got a portion of the player base that will be paying the same amount of money and getting a lot less. Again, tying into the comment I made a moment ago about the size of the roster. When there's only 6 characters available, or 7 including Hawkeye, and you're getting an additional 1, that's a huge upgrade. And you'll also be getting story missions that accompany that as well. That is, of course, if you're on PlayStation. If you're on the other platforms, you're flat out of luck. So that's just a few of the reasons why this is an absolutely terrible decision, and one that I can only hope, although I very much doubt there will be any change, I can only hope, for example, they maybe worded this badly, or they change their mind and they make it so that it's a timed exclusive. A timed exclusive, whilst not great, certainly wouldn't be the complete disaster that I really do see this as. And again, I'm going to mention the fact that it's a real shame because the developers look like they're really passionate about the game and they've been really building up hype. They've been doing so well, and just before the launch of the game, a month before it, you've got this absolute bombshell. So who knows what will happen from here. Fingers crossed we'll find out some more information. I will mention before anyone says it, I've actually pinned it as a comment, but I have all platforms. I have PC, I have Xbox, I have PlayStation 4, and I actually have a Switch as well. So I'm not coming at this from the angle of a disgruntled Xbox player or PC only player. I could get it on PlayStation 4 if I wanted, but it doesn't change the fact that all my Xbox and PC comrades would be locked out of a flagship character, which just simply isn't fair. But let me know in the comments below how annoyed you are about this, and thanks for tuning in. Stay safe, and I'll see you all again soon.